Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a seriously fascinating journey. We're looking at a phenomenon that honestly completely defies logic. We're talking about immense, staggering wealth that has just been left behind to rot. Think multi-million-dollar estates, luxury cars, and personal treasures that have simply been surrendered to time and the elements. So let's really get into this. I want you to step into the shoes of the ultra-wealthy for just a second. Imagine having basically an unlimited bank account. You build your absolute dream estate, you fill it with literally everything you could ever possibly want, and then you just vanish. You walk out the front door and you never look back. What on earth could cause something like that? Well, that is the exact mystery we're unpacking today. All right, let's start with Section 1, the illusion of permanence. $28 million. Just let that number sink in for a moment. That was the asking price back in 2022 for what was the single most expensive estate in the wealthiest town in New Jersey. It was built by the legendary Frick family. But, as we're going to see, even a Gilded Age empire built on coal and steel isn't bulletproof. After the grandson died in 2007, this majestic property fell into a gradual, completely irreversible decline and was eventually just sold off to developers. It's this brilliant, almost heartbreaking contrast of show, don't tell. On one hand, you have this absolute grandeur, right? Symmetrical pillars, custom handmade trim, massive skeleton key doors, and literally a secret door leading to the basement that you wouldn't even know existed. But then, reality sets in. The kitchen is surprisingly small, kind of underwhelming for a $28 million mega mansion, honestly, and scrawled right there on the foyer wall is the phrase, "Once upon a time." It's a chillingly sad reminder that this incredible home, along with 4 others right next to it, face imminent demolition. Before the bulldozers actually arrive, though, these homes become what urban explorers call a time capsule. Basically, that's a space left entirely untouched, frozen in the exact state it was abandoned. Inside the Frick mansion, explorers found camera bags, Polaroids, and handy cans just sitting there gathering dust. The family clearly loved documenting their lives, and they left behind a literal snapshot of their existence just waiting to be uncovered. And you know, the Fricks aren't alone here. Consider the bizarre, hyper-expensive artifacts swallowed up at another legacy estate, a massive lake mansion once owned by millionaires who ran rehab facilities. The overgrown driveway hides a near-perfect Corvette C4 and a huge, rotting RV. Inside, an indoor pool that they had converted into a guest area, completely decorated with real stained glass from a church. It's this incredibly strange, beautiful mix of high wealth and total, utter abandonment. Moving on to Section 2, destroyed by nature. Picture this structural nightmare. You start with a jaw-dropping 5-floor mega mansion. We're talking 30-foot ceilings, an indoor pool shaped like a waterfall, a gym with forest views. It was the absolute dream home of a wealthy Chinese family who made their fortune in technology and competitive racing. But then came the terrifying reason they had to flee. The very cliff beneath their home literally began to shift. The ground collapsed, causing massive structural damage, warping the floors upward, and forcing the family to just run for their lives without any warning. Because they had to get out so suddenly, the breadcrumbs of extreme wealth they left behind are just wild. I mean, we're talking 1990 BMW racing trophies, thick dust covering private offices filled with Adobe and Quicken software, and 3 whole generations of Mac PC monitors showing the evolution of their tech. But here is the crazy part. Upstairs, they left behind $1,000 Ventura watches still in their original packaging and a pearl necklace with real diamonds. All while, down in the kitchen, the fridge is completely packed with food, rotting with maggots, producing an absolutely horrendous smell. It is a crazy juxtaposition of luxury and total decay. $100,000. That is the estimated value of just a single item left behind in our next abandoned property. It's a beautiful Steinway & Sons piano just sitting there silently in a multi-million-dollar New York beach mansion. This quote from an explorer perfectly paints the picture of this home, which was actually condemned after a devastating hurricane back in 2019. The front door is blown off its hinges, and the beach house vibe is through the roof, with massive mirrors and fancy furniture covered in a thick layer of dust. The family had to leave everything. There's literally a wedding dress just hanging in a closet. All the food in the kitchen was left for the local wildlife. And frankly, if there are any raccoons watching this explainer right now, please let me know in the comments, why do you guys insist on pooping only on the top stairs of these abandoned mansions? It makes no sense, but it happens every single time. All right, let's shift gears to section 3, spite and sudden disappearances. Check out the story of the 1978 Dome House. This place is a massive architectural marvel with a spiral staircase originally built for a tech businessman and his wife. But, well, they went through an incredibly bitter divorce. Neither side could agree on who would get to keep this incredible house. So what did they do? Out of pure, unadulterated spite, they both just walked away. They left it completely frozen in time. The power actually still works in there. And get this, there's a waterbed upstairs that still moves when you touch it.
What's really fascinating here is the psychological contradiction of these owners. On one hand, you see all the markers of extreme wealth. This huge custom-designed dome house, expensive dolls left on the shelves, kids' rooms full of computers from 2008. But then right next to that, you see signs of extreme frugality. Explorers found the family was actually reusing cheap plastic takeout tubs just to store their jewelry. It's such an odd, humanizing detail left behind in this incredibly spiteful time capsule.
But, spite is one thing. A complete unexplained disappearance, that is another thing entirely. Ask yourself this. Why would you ever leave behind your actual, literal identity? Deep in the woods of New York sits an overgrown wooden mansion where a young couple seemingly vanished into thin air. Look at what they left behind. Passports, wallets still stuffed with cash, emergency medical information, credit cards. I mean, why wouldn't you come back for those? The aesthetic of this place is straight out of a horror movie. The pool out back looks like a murky swamp, and, eerie enough, the lights in the kitchen were literally just left on. It remains a total, unsettling mystery. Now for Section 4, Fallen Commercial Empires. Let's rapidly fire through some of these surreal commercial ruins because they are wild. First, the Holland Village theme park. It's an entire Dutch-themed ghost town that has literally been sinking into the water for 25 years. There are rotting windmills, 3D theaters completely full of black mold, and restaurants with fake food still sitting on the plates. Then, you have the Palisades IBM Conference Center, where live koi fish still swim in the decorative streams and employees' personal coffee mugs are just sitting on their cubicle desks. And finally, the infamous Tiger King Zoo in Oklahoma, frozen since 2020. Joe Exotic's small house sits there with its doors kicked in by the FBI, while outside overgrown animal enclosures literally still have bones laying inside the cages. 12. That is the number of pristine, luxury model mansions, complete with modern Spanish villas, plantation homes, and actual putting greens in the backyards, that were totally abandoned as a group after Hurricane Harvey hit. But getting to see these specific time capsules isn't exactly easy. To witness these 12 ruined mansions, explorers actually have to dodge active security cameras and police patrols. The irony here is staggering, isn't it? So much high-tech security guarding homes that are just rotting away, with brand new furniture still sitting untouched in their garages. And going back to the Palisades IBM campus for a second, the sheer unbelievable scale of corporate waste is just staggering. This was a massive, self-contained corporate ecosystem. It had 200 guest rooms for visiting executives, a sprawling, completely untouched fitness center, countless office cubicles completely frozen in time, an entire bustling mini-city of commerce, just silenced. Which brings us to our final section, the final takeaway. I think this quote from one of the urban explorers really grounds everything we've just witnessed today. It's crazy to see all these places that were once filled with life and money, now just silenced by time. It perfectly highlights the ultimate fragility of material wealth. It really doesn't matter if you have 30-foot ceilings, a $28 million price tag, or diamond necklaces in the closet. At the end of the day, time and nature are the ultimate equalizers. So, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. If you had to walk away from your life today, just leave the front door wide open and disappear, what artifacts would tell your story to someone who found it 50 years from now? Let me know your favorite find from today's explainer down in the comments, and take a moment to think about the impermanence of the things we hold so dear. Thanks so much for exploring with me, and keep learning.